I just remember growing up with so much shame all my life. It was before kindergarten. He had pulled out his penis and asked me to suck his penis. He pushed my head down and made me put my mouth on it. That was the start of the abuse, like the age of 5, my stepdad began doing the same thing. He had crept into my bedroom. He came and got up on top of me. He would sit me in his lap and he would be grinding on me. I would just freeze and be still. Why do people keep doing this to me? You gotta understand, none of my cousins wanted to play with me. They often picked on me in the family and called me, you know, like Blackie, Darky, made me feel very ugly and unwanted. And I just thought, well, maybe I deserve this, or people are picking on me because, you know, I'm ugly, or they think I'm too dark. Or I was begging her, Mom, please don't leave me here with him. Please, 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 you know, you don't know what he does to me, you don't know. And she looked at me as if she knew. And she was crying and she pushed me back in the door. And he finally did confess. It made me feel relieved that finally somebody else heard him say he did it. And finally she knows, but then it made me feel awful that she went running after him, and I thought sooner or later she'll come running back to me because they had been calling me a liar all this time. I've been through so much trauma. I've made it this far through life because I know how much of a struggle it's been for me. If nobody else gives me credit for that, I have to give myself credit because I feel like I earned a master's degree and just learning how to live life. I realize it's affected me because my mind and my brain kind of shut down at that point. At that point, I ceased to grow. When other kids grow and go on and have relationships and socially develop, and things you pick up that you're taught without even being taught, you know. So I mentally and emotionally, I was held back to being a little child, even as an adult. I didn't know how to communicate with my own children because I didn't know what to feed them, what to give them, how to communicate. Because all I focused on was that they knew that they were loved, because I never knew that I was loved. I teach them the Word of God because that's all I knew. That's all I knew to get through life. That's all I had to give out of my life. It's a good thing to give, but it's all I had to give. I had no personality for years because I had to be whoever my family needed me to be at that time. If somebody else walked through that door, I could not be a basket case. I could not be falling apart. I could not let them know what was going on. I could not show that there was some difference. I had to act like everything was okay between me and Dad. Everything was okay between me and Mom. I had to pretend to get through life. When you talk about a college degree and how hard people have to struggle through college, I feel like there's people who've got master's degrees, who's gotten doctorate degrees, who would never be able to go through what I had to go through to catch up what I had to catch up, because while everybody was going through that stage, I was still trying to catch up the teenage stage. Teenagers shop for clothes. They know what they want in the house. They know what they want for a wedding. You know, they know what kind of panties, lingerie, whatever they want. I had no idea into my adulthood, and I would feel so ashamed. They had personality, they had goals, they had dreams, they had plans and ideas, and I had nothing. That was the whole stage that I totally missed. It was like I was oblivious. My mind was a blank, because as a teenager, I was fighting this battle, because that's when all this stuff started to break down. So I was surviving. You know, people say, oh, that happened to you, just get over it. Like, how long are you going to dwell on, like, you know, if you had an argument with somebody, and how long are you going to argue about that, just get over it. It's not the same thing, because it becomes part of your identity, part of who you are. Like, even when they show it on TV, they don't show the aftermath. They just say, oh, basically, you know, a rape happened, incest happened, molestation happened, which we think of the terrible act that this person did, but you don't realize that this person's whole life is about to be affected for the rest of their life, that this person stole this person's life from them, because that's basically what it does. It steals who you are, and it steals your identity. It steals your ability to be able to cope. If I was run over by a car or had a bad car accident and I was crippled and maimed for the rest of my life physically, you could see that, and you could see that damage, and people see that and they go, oh, wow, not that we want people to pity us, because a handicapped person doesn't want people to pity them. But somebody's got to pay for that damage. It's cost them. They're debilitated. They lack ability to do a whole lot. And when we are abused sexually, I think people and society is not out there enough for people to see that we are handicapped. We're handicapped mentally. We're handicapped emotionally. And to expect people to be able to still function at the same rate that anybody else is not right. There was so much people didn't realize I was struggling with, where I feel like if this was a handicap, not that someone would pay my way, but it would make the road easier. Because if I'm handicapped and I need an extra leg, give me that extra leg so I can walk, so I can work. But if I'm handicapped mentally, emotionally, people can't see that, so I don't have the tools that I need to help me. It's nothing but the Lord that kept me from being in an asylum or somewhere in some kind of institution. If I didn't have the Lord, I could be like anybody else out there on drugs, on alcohol, just trying to dope myself up to get rid of the pain. The pain is greater than if I got mangled in a car accident and had to live without anesthesia. Like, that's how bad it is. I can understand why people turn to drugs. I can understand why people turn to alcohol, because you just need something to put you out of your misery. And I'm telling you that Christ is the one who puts me out of my misery when I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills or the electricity or the rent or how am I going to take care of these kids? He is it. When I didn't have no friends, no guidance, no mom, no dad, no education, He is the one who has kept me. I feel sorry for people that are out there that don't know God. And you can't tell me that God's not, He's been my best friend. It's not religion, it's not church. He's been very, very real to me. My advice, tell somebody, don't keep it a secret. The secrets kill you. I believe it's the secrets that have destroyed my family and that keep that festering and that feed the fuel of that negativity that has been started through abuse. And it doesn't have to get that ugly. It doesn't have to get that bad. I think the sooner that people begin to deal with it and get the family, get the child the help that the child needs, because there's so many dynamics that you don't realize that that child has to go through. It's living the secret life and trying to keep up that facade for everybody else and protecting that child feels so much responsibility for protecting everybody else in the family. That's too much on the child. No matter what happens, you're better off telling. Whether everything falls apart, it's the beginning of truth, and truth always makes things better. You can't begin to have freedom without truth. It just, even if nobody ever sees this, it just does a world of good that someone cares enough to listen to your story, and for me to be able to get out the stuff that's inside of me. Even after all these years, even after all I've written out, all that I've told the psychiatrists, even the people that I've been able to tell my story to along the way, it just really helps to be able to vent and get this stuff out. And hopefully it does good. Thank you.
What your mother did, what your father did. Hallelujah.